Hey, what's up, my beautiful people? It's your boy Devo, some motivational, back with another Mondays watch list. Real quick, as always, I want to say thank you all for all the likes, the comments, the subscribes. Thank you, everybody who stick with me through the journey. Every single one of y'all is appreciated. And let's get straight into it, okay? So, I know Friday I said I was going to come out with a trade recap. I didn't end up coming out with that trade recap. So I'm gonna go over the trade that we had Friday, today, as well as the data we have coming on Monday. Some trade deals, some news that's coming out, good and bad, and then what I am looking at going into the new week. Okay, and Monday should be a very good day because, please, guys, if you can, tell me what do you see right here, and what does it look like we're aiming for? If you can see it, I kind of already had this setup marked out, but if you can see it, you can see it. Okay, so let's get straight into it. Okay, so Monday, what did we have? Sunday. Sorry, Friday. What did we have? So Friday, we ran up. We didn't get no entry point on Friday. What were we looking for? So, oh my goodness. So Friday, what we were looking for, okay? So we started to run up, right? We gapped up. We had a fair value gap, right? In our 15-minute, 5-minute fair value gap right here. If we zoom in and we get a more exact fair value gap, and then the 1 minute, what is that? That is an imbalance of orders. You see all these candles right here? That is considered an imbalance of orders, even though it's not like a big, even though it's not like a big candles and like a gap in the middle. When you have like a, dang, I can't think of the word. Whenever you have a lot of like steps like this, like a lot of candles like this, kind of like stepping up, those are still called imbalance of orders, okay? And that's what I messed up on one of the days when I couldn't find an entry point, and price actually did give me an entry point in my 5-minute gap. I can't remember where it was. Was it this one? When it came down and touched support. So that day, price came down, touched support. I think I went over it that day. And let me see. I can't remember what day it was. I think it was that day when 5-minute. Okay, it might have not been that one. Okay, it was one of the days where we had a 5-minute gap. Okay, we had a 5-minute fair value gap, but in my 1 minute, I didn't see an exact entry because it was kind of like this, a staircase of candles, and I was like, I don't see an exact entry. Well, did some studying, and sorry, this is on because the hair is a little crazy right now. And so I did some studying, and whenever you have a bunch of candles like that, even though it's not like a big candle and you have a gap, when you have a bunch of candles like that, like this, how you have a bunch of candles just boom, 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 even though they're little candles, that is still called an imbalance of orders, okay? And in the 5-minute, it's a fair value gap. 5-minute was a fair value gap, 15-minute was a fair value gap. So that was an area I really wanted touched for me to go long, okay? What did we do? We kept running up. They said F the longs, and what did we end up doing? So we ended up being in a range. As you can see, mark this back out. We ended up being in a range. Let me get a good number. As you see, right? Equal highs, equal lows, equal highs, equal lows. Then what did I do? This wasn't a good trade. I'm not the proudest of this trade, but I felt like we had potential. Again, not the most proudest of this one, because we weren't in a trending market. We weren't like targeting. Well, we were targeting the equal lows, but we weren't kind of trending, right? I took a trade in the range, and I'll show you my thinking behind it. But again, it's not my proudest trade, and honestly, I should have just not taken this trade, okay? Because it's not a high quality trade, right? So what did I do? So I took the trade right around here. Why? Because what we were having was a range, equal highs, equal lows, equal highs, equal lows, equal highs, equal lows, we had a demand area down here, these equal lows. So I felt like we had more of an attraction to the downside to touch this demand area as well as taking out these equal lows. And I know you guys are saying, but we have equal highs up here. I know that. I know we have equal highs that are also an attraction, but I felt like we also had a demand area, right? And before we pumped up, I felt like we were going to take out the equal lows, hit this demand area, then run up. Basically doing a accumulation, a manipulation, taking out the equal lows, hitting the demand area, and then doing a full move, right? That sounds good, right? I mean, that's what the market likes to do, right? Get liquidity, get as much liquidity as possible, and do its move. So, what did we do? Equal highs, equal lows, equal highs, equal lows, and then we had a lower high, and then we had a breakdown pretty quick. This was a breakdown pretty quick, and then when we pulled back, I had got in right around this candle right here, this red candle right here, thinking we were gonna go down, and I was targeting these equal lows, but I was gonna have it like drop down like right around here after taking out these lows as well, and then seeing if it wants to pull into this demand. And what did it do? Pretty much as soon as when I got in, it started staircasing its way up, and then boom, stopped me out. I only traded one contract, so I mean it was minus 33 bucks, but it was still money that I could have saved, right? And so then it pumped up, ran up, stopped me out, and then later on in the day, did a full dump, right? Full dump, came all the way down, took out all of this. I had this area right here marked out. I deleted a lot of lines because you know a lot of lines end up getting drawn on the chart. So delete this one now. I can delete this because you guys seen where I was targeting. Okay, that's for now. I can delete this demand zone. So we ended up breaking down, took out what we started in the day, took out all of that, ended up pumping down, and what did we do? Which is our bread and butter. Created relative equal lows. Yes, we swept it out, but if you go to the 5-minute, it's just a sweep, right? Just a little sweep, but that is still creating relative equal lows, right? That is still relative equal lows. Excuse me, good people. These are still relative equal lows, right? So that's what we're going to be targeting going into Monday. But yeah, we broke all the way down. Why did we break all the way down? Well, that is going to be because late Friday we had Trump with his trade talks, tariff trade talks, and this is where the market gets a little hard because Trump always just comes out with random tweets, and you never know what is going to be coming out during the day. We kind of like it because it's a lot of volatility and a lot of opportunities to make money, but like it's also like hard. Like if you're like, okay, it's trending, and then all of a sudden a big old dump like this comes out, right? But let's go over that real quick. So Trump said, President Donald Trump said Friday that he had terminated trade discussions with Canada, citing an incoming Canadian tax on tech companies, including those based in the U.S. So Canada imposed a tariff tax on U.S. tech companies, and then it says in a post on Truth Social, Trump referred to Canada as a very difficult country to trade with, and he said its levy on tech firms, the first payment for which is due Monday, is a direct and blatant attack on our country. Based on the egregious attack, we are hereby terminating all discussions on trade with Canada. Effective immediately, he said, we will not let Canada know the tariff that they will be paying to do business with the United States of America within the next 7-day period. We will let Canada know, not we will not. We will let Canada know. So in the next 7-day period, Canada will know the tariff rate that President Trump is hiking on them. Then it says, last week, Canada's finance minister said that he would not delay implementation of digital services tax. So they were basically warning that they were going to put it on. Then when they actually put it on, that's how Trump responded. He said, which applies to any tech company making more than $15 million from Canadian internet users, even as U.S. trade talks continue. So then it says, so this is not good because this can be escalating, because it says the office of Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney didn't immediately respond to a request for comment, but late Friday, Canada retaliated against U.S. by imposing a quota on some steel imports and a 50% surcharge for imports that exceeded the quota. Canada's finance minister said the government was acting to protect this industry from unjust U.S. tariffs. So he is reacting to Trump basically eliminating trade talks, saying that we're going to have more tariffs on them, and so they're putting more tariffs on us. And it says Canada's government said it remains prepared to take additional steps as needed. So that's not good for the market. Why? Because I believe the market was pretty much pricing in that we were going to get all these trade deals worked out. I mean, and I think that's why we were making new highs and stuff like that, because I think the market was pretty much pricing in that we were just going to have all these trade deals worked out because we're pretty much closed. I mean, China. Let me go over the China real quick. So it said U.S. and China agreed on the framework for a trade deal. Both nations say. As we know, that is kind of old news. President Trump then said they had the trade deal worked out, but now China officially came out and said that they had the trade deal worked out. So before it was just one sided saying it, but now China is also saying it as well. Okay, so I believe the market was pretty much pricing in that we were going to be pretty much like, just in, like, how do I say it? We're just good. Like, trade deals worked out. That big beautiful bill is going to be worked out, passed. Which, if you love or hate it, it's going to be more money in the economy because it's going to be a lot of tax cuts. It's going to be more money in our pockets. So more money in our pockets means more money in the markets, right? So I think that's what the market is pretty much pricing in. And so I think this will give us a little bit of a pullback. This Canada and U.S. Trade tensions. I don't know how much it will pull back, but I don't think it would just be a complete dump. I think this will just be like a pullback, maybe into this gap. That's what I see happening. I think we will get a pullback into this gap of 602. Excuse my good people. I believe that. Why? Because also, if we come to our 4 hour, we are also due for a pullback. You see how it's just running all the way up. We are due for a pullback to the 602 area. We are due for that. If you go to the dailies, again, the market's just running. The market's been running hard that past week. And why didn't we get much trades last week? Because the market was running, but it was pretty choppy on the run up, right? It was very choppy, not really like entries. Like if you look at this is the 5-minute chart, and look how choppy it is on that run up, right? This is a $4 run up right here. Ultimately, yeah, $4 run up, but very choppy. Very, very choppy, right? If you look at this one, 25 to 26, this one is actually down. But one of the days, remember on Tuesday, where we had a really good setups on 2 trades. One trade we messed up on where our stop loss should have been. I don't remember exactly where it is, but if you guys go back and watch that Tuesday video, I messed up on where my stop loss should have been, so it stopped me out with a loss and then hit my take profits. And I went over the trade and looked at it. My stop loss was placed at the wrong spot, so that should have been a big win right there, as well as my other win, and I would have ended the week positive. Instead, I messed up on that one, and then I took this trade over here. Wasn't high quality setup. I think I was just kind of wanting to take a trade. I wanted to make some money, and that's where it burned me. And we learned from it. We've been doing really good with being patient and stuff, and I think I just let it get the best of me for a little bit by not taking a real high quality setup. But again, we did have these demand zones down here. We had equal lows. We were due for a pullback. All of that. We had this lower high in the range. We had a nice breakdown, and then we had a pullback. So I took the trade, and I just lost that one. You know what I'm saying? But again, it wasn't the highest of quality setups, but it was, well thought out with equal lows, demand, and it just didn't work out right. So with that, last week we were minus $41, which we're not too mad at, but at the same time, it's like we wanted to keep that streak going of the green weeks. But these past 5 weeks, break even, plus 200, plus 200. I think it was another plus 200. I think literally 3 weeks in a row I was plus 200, like break even 200. So I had a break even week, $0. Then I had a 200, 200, 200, and then last week minus $41. So we're not too mad at it because we're doing good, but we could have it could have been another winning week, right? It could have been another winning week with that Tuesday. Even if I had all these trades that I had, which I only had like two more trades after Tuesday, even if I had those two trades losers as they were, that Tuesday would have made up for both of those losers, and I still would have been positive on the week, just a little bit, but still positive. But again, we learned from it because we learned where our stop loss should have been. We learned to make sure that we actually break structure, look at the sweeps, make sure we actually break structure on our bigger time frames and all of that, so we can have our stop loss in the right places, right? So we learn from it, so we're not mad at it, right? But it's always good to be positive on the week, right? And so, yeah, I do believe we will have a pullback, and I believe that could be like our final pullback to get in before that run up, like another run up where we can get to the 620s, 630s. Again, because the market wants to pump, right? The market wants to pump through all of these headwinds, through the war talks, through trade talks and everything. The market is really starting to run now. And I feel like it will give us, because of this trade talks, I feel like we were already due for a little bit of a pullback, but because of these trade talks, I do feel like we will get that pullback. And it could be this week, that pullback that we need, and for us to have more buying opportunities before an absolute run up, because my favorite stocks have been running, and I'm thinking, man, I wish I would have bought more. But we could have a little bit of a pullback so we can buy a little bit more of our favorite stocks, okay? So let me go into the trade that I'm looking at going into Monday, and let's get it. So what am I looking at? So as we know, we ran all the way down. What did we do? We created these beautiful, 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 beautiful relative equal lows, right? I'll keep that there. Created these relative equal lows, and that is what we're looking at, right? So what did we do? So if you look at this, right? So we had this run up, boom, pull back, run up again, boom, change of character, right? This can be a little bit of a pullback for that change of character. And then another breakdown, and technically you not supposed to, this is technically like a change of character again, but at the same time, if we look on our 15-minute, that is it. So I wouldn't even count that, actually. Yeah. So I'm not even gonna count that, right? Because look, on the 15-minute we have this as a pause, break structure to the upside. Then we have a change of character. We don't have a pullback. We have a break all the way down. Then we finally got this pullback into what? Our top fair value gap. So this is giving such a good setup. This is giving such a good setup, right? Because we have this top fair value gap. Sorry, this is bugging me. Okay. Okay, we're good. So look, it came into this top fair value gap, and this is a perfect setup. Why? Because going into Monday, what am I looking at? Well, we're already in our top fair value gap. In our top fair value gap, we gotta have our stop loss at the top of our fair value gaps, right? So I have my stop loss on top of here. We can have it right here, but I'm gonna give it a little room to breathe. I'm gonna put it right there. And then my risk to reward, I want it all the way down here, honestly. I want it all the way down there. Now, it would probably be a long trade to play out, but if it hits this supply zone and it gives that reaction, and technically you can get like, let me show you. So I'm already going to be going off of this, right? So I want to see if we come up and hit the stop loss, because this will basically be the stop loss, right? If it comes up and hits those swings and breaks those, we're going to the upside, right? Because that's how we know. If price breaks our last swing and breaks our fair value gaps where we're supposed to be heading down, breaks our supply zones, if it breaks our supply zones, breaks that stop loss on top of our supply zones, and it breaks those, that means price doesn't want to go down. That means it wants to go up. The same if you wanted to go up and it breaks those demand zones, breaks through that top of the demand zones, that stop loss, you know price wants to go down, right? So going into Monday, if we start anywhere up here, right? If we start anywhere in this green level, that means price gave a reaction off the supply zone, right? If it starts anywhere above the stop loss, anywhere above our fair value gaps, we know price wants to trend up. So it's just such a beautiful setup, right? It basically gave the setup at the end of the day going into the new week. You see what I'm saying? So let me show you guys. So if price comes, it starts right here. Say if it started right around the 614.70 level, right? Breaks down, gives that another pullback, then it could break down. You see what I'm saying? It would be such a beautiful setup, and that is exactly what could happen. It could start around here, break down some, then give another pullback because it will basically be the new trend of the day, but it will be following the trend of Friday. You see what I'm saying? So on Friday, it would be continuing this because it will give a reaction off that supply zone by having like a little lower or being around this area, right? It would break down, but since it's a new day, it would give, or even if it was the same day, it would drop down a little bit. It could give another pullback into another gap right around here where it dropped down at, and then it could start breaking down, breaking through these what? Equal lows. And we love equal lows, we love equal highs because we, if you know liquidity, if you know where liquidity is at, you know where your winning trades are at. And that is so true because you guys have seen me targeting these equal lows, equal highs for these past couple weeks, and they've just been bangers after bangers of trades, okay? And that's why we've gotten used to trading these choppy markets. When the market is just running up, it's kind of like, it's kind of a little more difficult. Why? Because you don't really know where your take profit is, because you don't have an equal high to go to. When the market's just, when the market is just running up, you don't have an equal high to target. You don't have a specific area to target. You kind of got to get out when you get like a big flush of candles or you get your change of character, but you can't really get your full move because you don't know exactly when price is going to stop. You see what I'm saying? But if I have these equal lows, I know when price breaks that, I could take my profit because it hit take profit, hit those equal lows. You see what I'm saying? So you have more of an objective when you're targeting liquidity. It's kind of, it's a little more difficult actually when the market is just trending up because you don't have an actual target. You see what I'm saying? And so yeah, so that's exactly what I could see is getting a reaction off of this fair value gap. This is perfect and it's beautiful. That 15-minute fair value gap as well as the 5-minute fair value gap. If we scale down to the 1 minute, we're in this 1 minute fair value gap, right? So this is beautiful. This is literally so beautiful, right? Going into Monday. If we get a reaction, we're going to get a breakdown, and then we're going to get another pullback, and then we're going to target these equal highs, meaning these equal lows. We're going to target these equal lows with our stop loss on the top of our gaps. See it? We're going to target these gaps up here, and that is going to be beautiful, okay? So that is what we're looking for going into Monday. Again, if it wants to break up, if it breaks past these fair value gaps, breaks up past this stop loss, then it wants to trend upwards. What am I favoring? I am favoring more of the downside because I do think we are due for a pullback, as well as these trade tension talks, which can give us that pullback. So as well as being due for a pullback, as well as the trade tensions that are due to give you a pullback, right? They're due to give you a little bit of a dump because the market doesn't like trade tensions, right? Trade uncertainty and stuff like that with being tariffs being put on them, being put on us, being put on them, being put on us, because ultimately that is inflation on the people, right? That takes money out of our pockets, so that means less money in our pockets, less money in the markets, okay? And so that is a beautiful setup. Again, if it comes up and hits like this, the top of our swing, right? The top of our fair value gaps. Honestly, you could put it all the way up here if you really want, because technically it could come up and all the way up here, right? Technically, it could come all the way up there. So if you want, if you, not if you want, but if price comes up and hits basically this resistance, and it could just sweep it out and then head downwards. But if it hits that resistance, breaks down, what would I want to see us do? Well, okay. So if it breaks that resistance, that is a little bit of like worry, right? Because you broke through these fair value gaps, right? But if it breaks through, if it sweeps this resistance, heads back down, you do have a fair value gap from here, right? If it wants to break through to the upside and sweep this area, how would I know that it's continuing to go up? If it comes down and hits this fair value gap and continues up, or hits this gap because it's not considered a fair value gap yet, right? If it hits this gap and then gives a good reaction up, you want to go up. But if it breaks through with solid candles, breaks through this fair value gap, boom. That's how it's confirmed that this was just a sweep and now it's headed downwards. Why? Because it's breaking through that bullish gap. If you see a solid candle flush through this gap right here, it's breaking through that bullish gap, and you're heading downwards, right? But if it comes down and you see wicks, like a heavy wick right here, a heavy couple wicks, and then it's trending upwards, then that means price most likely wants to go up, and it's going to want to sweep out those equal highs, right? Because it's going to create a wick right here, and then you will technically have those like relative equal highs up here, and then it will come down, touch this gap, and then shoot up and take those equal highs, right? So we're ready for either way it goes, right? Because it's just literally such a beautiful setup to the upside and to the downside. It's like it's just drawn out. And that's where you have to really be looking at the market, and you have to have some time in the market, be studying the market, because the market will tell you a story. Like literally how I just told you and literally just talked out to you guys what this market is playing out and how it could play out and what I'm ready for it to play out. And if it does this, I'm doing this. If it does this, I'm doing this. If it does this, I'm ready for this. You know what I'm saying? It's because the market tells you a whole story. You just have to spend enough time in the market, spend enough time studying the market so you can see it, okay? And so this video is getting fairly long, 28 minutes. So let me go over the economic data that we have coming out to Monday, and then let's wrap it up, okay? And I'll see you guys tomorrow, okay? For a good, beautiful day. We're so ready for tomorrow because, again, we were a little frustrated last week because we just didn't have no good trade setups, right? We had no good trade setups, and we lost some money where we should have made some money on that Tuesday, and it was just kind of frustrating of a week. But that's where I got to get better, because the hardest part of trading is being patient for those setups. It's not the strategy, knowing where liquidity is. Those are the easy parts. The hardest part of trading is being patient for your setups, okay? That is the hardest part, and that's where I got to get better at, okay? So going into Monday, what are we looking for? 6-month bill auction, 3-month bill auction, quarterly grain stocks, corn, soy, wheat. And so not too much of big data, but I do think these grain stocks, corn, soy, and wheat can give us a little bit of a reaction. But again, I think whatever the market wants to do, it's going to do. If it wants to dump, it's going to dump, even if this is good data. If it wants to pump, it's going to pump, even if this is bad data. I don't think this data is too much of a market mover. But quarterly grain stocks, corn, soy, and wheat, that's basically our farming stuff. I think that is pretty important. But again, I don't think that data is really necessarily going to pump or dump the market, okay? So that's pretty much it. I don't want to make the video too long. I know we look a little rough today, but it's all good. Okay, I love every single one of y'all sticking with me through the journey. I hope this was very valuable, and I hope you guys are studying the market so you guys can be ready for the market, so you can see what the market is trying to play out, so you can be ahead of the market, right? We react to the market, but you want to be ahead of the market by saying, if the market does this, I'm doing this. If it wants to do that, I'm doing this. If it doesn't want to do this, I'm not doing this. You see what I'm saying? So that is pretty much it. I love every single one of y'all sticking with me in the journey. Remember, guys, stay persistent, passionate, and make sure you get paid, all right? Peace.